Welcome to this episode of our podcast, where we take a deep dive into one of the most urgent issues confronting Bangladesh today: press freedom. In the aftermath of the 2024 July uprising, many believed a new chapter had begun for journalism and democratic expression. But has anything truly changed for the media? Or has the landscape only shifted in form, not in substance? Let's explore how journalism in Bangladesh remains a profession under siege. Journalism in Bangladesh has become one of the most perilous professions, especially in the wake of the July 2024 popular uprising. Many had hoped that the fall of an authoritarian regime would usher in a new era of press freedom, but reality has proven otherwise, revealing a deeper, more entrenched crisis. In the past year alone, over 250 cases have been filed against journalists, many simply for expressing opinions on Facebook. The majority of these cases are politically motivated and strategically targeted. In this climate, working in media is akin of risking one's safety every single day. Most journalists now practice self-censorship. Even basic reporting is often shelved for fear of retribution. Investigative journalism is nearly extinct. Large media houses operate primarily to serve the interests of their owners and sponsors, with professional ethics reduced to mere rhetoric. Even though the regime changed after the uprising, the oppressive legal framework remained largely intact. The ICT Act of 2006, the Digital Security Act of 2018, and the Cyber Security Act of 2023 were all used extensively to suppress dissent. The interim government repealed these laws and introduced the Cyber Safeguard Ordinance (CSO), but its Section 42 states that unless specified otherwise, the provisions of the ICT Act, the Evidence Act of 1872, and the Code of Criminal Procedure of 1898 will still apply. Essentially, old tools of repression have returned in new packaging. Most alarmingly, the new ordinance still contains vague and easily exploitable language such as anti state activities, national security, rumors, and public confusion. These terms are undefined yet potent enough to suppress dissent at will. Some positive reforms have been introduced, though their practical impact remains uncertain. A new section of 173A in the Code of Criminal Procedure allows the police commissioner or district superintendent to order interim investigation reports. If such a report finds insufficient evidence against an accused person, authorities can request the court to discharge the case. However, if new evidence surfaces later, prosecution can resume. While these mechanisms may help curb false cases, concerns persist over the impartial application. Questions linger about the government's genuine commitment to media reform. Two draft ordinances by the Media Reforms Commission, the National Media Commission Ordinance 2025 and the Journalist Protection Ordinance 2025, have been proposed but remain unenforced. One promising provision includes a one house, one media policy prevent monopolistic ownership, but everyone knows how media ownership can be informally transferred or concealed. On July 28, the Ministry of Information formed a new press council committee. However, some members, such as Nurul Kabir, editor of New Age, claimed to have been included without prior knowledge. Such moves raise concerns about transparency and question the sincerity of governmental intentions. How can a media reform agenda coexist with the reactivation of a decades old flawed Press Council Act from 1974? The core issue is whether the government truly aims to protect journalists or whether it is crafting another deceptive framework. The 1974 Act is riddled with weaknesses and control-oriented clauses. Without significant amendments, a new press council could become another mechanism of surveillance and control rather than a guardian of press freedom. Underlying all of this is the weakness of journalist unions and media owners. These unions are themselves dividing along political lines, some aligned with the ruling camp, others with the opposition. This fragmentation hampers any united stand for press freedom. Media owners often manage outlets to serve corporate or political interests. Many aspiring media entrepreneurs allege requires proving political loyalty. Any deviation from expected narratives brings threats of tax audits, licensing complications, or official inquiries. In such an environment, law enforcement and administrative authorities exploit their power to harass journalists further. What the Bangladesh urgently needs is a clear and robust self-regulatory framework for media. Each media house should have its own editorial policy, anti-harassment guidelines, and transparent grievance redressal mechanisms. Journalists also face defamation and malicious accusations. Therefore, there should be well defined procedures for individuals, politicians, or institutions to file complaints against media outlets. An independent, transparent, and impartial mechanism must exist to examine such claims fairly. True media reform requires more than legal changes. It demands political will, a break from bureaucratic inertia, and most importantly, trust and collaborating among journalists themselves. What we are witnessing is not just a crisis of journalism, it's a crisis of democracy itself. A country where journalists live in fear, where laws are weapons and unions are divided, cannot claim to be truly democratic. The press is not the enemy of the state, it is the conscience of the state. If Bangladesh truly seeks to build a more just and accountable society, protecting press freedom must be more than a slogan. It must be a national priority. Thank you for listening.